everyone, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. How you doing? So we are on episode 4 now, where we are going to be doing some painting, and we're actually going to do a little bit of the construction, the front entryways and the foundation. So I hope you enjoy. So now it is time for one of the fun parts, which is painting. So in order to paint stuff, I got the catalog and I brought the picture of it out to look and go, okay, what parts do I need to paint? So what I'm doing is the main house color is going to be what you see in blue here. And then the windows that are in white, those are going to be the stain color. And then the dark blue is going to be the accent color. And yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. Look at my hands are still. Was I dying still? I think there was a hole in the glove. What do y'all think? But anyways, so what I did was I grabbed every piece that has that clapboard siding on it, right? So those are going to be that main paint color. So I'll show you which pieces those are. We have the two big old side pieces with cat fur on one of them. And then we've got, so all of these tower unit things, this isn't like one piece you stick windows in. It's made up of these small pieces here, like so. Okay, so I grabbed all of those. So bay window side, base, side top, side whatever, front blah. I have the insets. These are going to go on either side of the entryways. I have the tower roofs. So you've got the tower, not roofs, tower back left, tower back center, tower back right. And then I've got the two entryways. So that should be all the pieces, but where'd my picture go? There it is. If you notice here, so you've got this attic piece and you've got a gable triangle. Okay, because that's your gable. So I brought out the attic piece here. The only problem is there's two gable triangles and I don't really see where the other one goes. So I don't know. Should I paint one? Should I paint both? Maybe I'll paint one. And then on most of the houses that I've seen, they've done this where they've done like a white on there. I don't want to do that. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and paint these the same color as the main house color. Now, we thought that was decided, didn't we? But I did a thing. Because when I did the coloring piece where I didn't have the right colors to color it with, I was just getting a general idea. I really liked the purple and the green, so I got some more paint. I've completely changed my mind about the colors, and some of you are probably saying, thank God, because you didn't think these went together. They do, but they, yeah, they may be a little too much. These are a little more, I don't know. They still look gauche, but they're at least sedately so or something. So I have the paint chips here. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. So I've brought back out the black one and I've brought back out the stained one because I want to see, okay, which one do I want on the main part of the house? So what I was thinking of doing was the teal and then the purple as an accent. And I do like the way this stands out on the main color. And same with the black, really pops on it. So it's going to have its own nice contrast. When you get into this, again, they're blending in, they're sinking into that. But I do want all the windows and the architectural features to pop out like they do on here. They did that by painting them white, but I'm going to have this detail really pop out. So anyways, just so I changed it to. So we're actually going to use this, which is Keiko's Turquoise right here as the main paint color, which is right here. I am still going to keep the blackout color though as a color, and believe me, I'll use these, so it's not a problem. But actually, I wonder how this and this would look. I don't know. Okay, let's not confuse things, shall we? One color at a time. I also this time got some ceiling paint because the last time I had to use that like translucent paint over gesso and it looked like garbage. So I have some actual ceiling paint now because that's another thing that we're going to need to paint before we put it together is the ceilings. We'll get there when we get there. So, okay. So I've got my paint. I have my paintbrush, and I did find out when I was doing the addition, you know, you can paint with a regular paintbrush, but these ones here have they're a lot denser, they have a lot more bristles. They're designed to use with house paint because this is a house painting brush. It's the brush you use to kind of cut in your edges and your window trim and all that kind of stuff. Works perfectly for these, makes very fast work of these things. So I noticed when I used this brush, it came out really thin and you could see through to the material on the other side, so it would have taken 2 coats. This, it only took 1 coat. So that's what we're going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the little identifying things on here. So this is bay window, front, top. I'm going to leave these stickers on here. And then I'm going to, you know, paint these guys because we're only painting this side. We're not painting anything else, just these sides. Once we go to put it together, we will find that certain sides of them, like, you know, where you line it up, these are beveled, but not all the things are going to be beveled. So sometimes you'll have it, say if it's like this, you know, we'll have to go back and just paint that edge side. That's easy enough to do once it's put together. And this will go right over glue too, so you don't have to worry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on fast forward, and I'm going to paint some of these and get them drying and everything. And then I will come back to you after, just like what I did with the staining. I'll do a small selection of them, and I'll come back to you after everything is done for my least favorite part, which is sanding. Yay. So here we go. So here's our first piece painted, and with these, again, I'm going to try to avoid the edges because that's where I'm going to glue. You probably will get some on the edges, but the easiest way to do that is to brush from the center out. Don't come in this way because you will guarantee you get a whole bunch there. So if you go from the center out, you don't have to worry about that as much. And you want to do a fairly thin coat of it because every coat you're going to do, you're going to add mass. Most of this we're going to sand away on that first sanding anyway. So you don't want to make a ton of extra work for yourself, okay? And I just saw, you want to hold it this way too, so that you can see on the edges, if you miss any of the edges of the little boards. That was a few pieces of it, so that is our tower back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of the stuff, and I will see you back here later when it's time to sand all of this. Okay, so now we have everything painted. It's had time to dry, and I'll kind of hold this at an angle. I'm not sure if you can see it. You can kind of see how rough the paint is on here. So what it does when you do this first coat of paint is you're allowing it to soak into those fibers really good. Just like when we did the addition, and it's getting all the little fibrous bits to kind of swell up and stick up and sort of traps them under here. That's why you don't sand it first and then paint it. So once it's done that, we're going to sand it now. And so I grabbed a different sanding block. This one is an angled one. I figured it'd be a lot easier to get into these because you need to sand each one of these boards one at a time, right? And I'm going to end up sanding most of the paint off, which is what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So if you feel this, you can feel the difference. This is nice and smooth, and this is very, very rough. So it's very different. So what I'm going to do is I'll put it on fast forward so you don't have to have, you know, a crazy amount of sanding noise. I'll do one more here. Okay, so I'm going to sand this, and I will come back to you and show you how this will look at the end, and it's going to look terrible. It's going to look weathered, but again, that's what you want because this is your chance to sand all those rough edges down, so when you put your next coat of paint on, it'll be nice and smooth. So see you guys at the end of the fast forward. Okay, so here we go. So now you can see how uneven it is, and see how we're down to practically the MDF or press board, whatever this is, in there. That's what you want, but the key is when you feel it, you want it to be nice and smooth. So as long as it's nice and smooth, you are good. This is one of, let me see, 1, 2 very large pieces, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 30 pieces that I have to do. God, I hate sanding. Oh, so anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and sand all the pieces. Then I'm gonna do another coat on top of it. And then when I'm done with that, because I'm not gonna make you watch that, we'll come back and we're gonna start gluing some stuff together. So that should be fun. See you guys then. Now we are finally gonna start gluing some stuff together for the house. Yay! I'm sure I will come across a ton of things that I didn't paint, and that's fine. We'll get them when we get them, right? So now we're gonna do the 2 entryways. So they're gonna sit, you know, here at the front of the floors. So we need the inset walls, which are these right here. So everybody's had their second coat of paint, and it's much smoother now than it was when I first did it. So I'm very happy with that. I got a spot on that. Okay, so we have the 2 inset pieces, and then we have our front wall here with more fluff on it. And then they have 2 pieces that come in there, and they're called porch spacers. The nice thing is when you get done building this kit, just like with these pieces, they're going to be left over. So you can do all sorts of stuff with them. So absolutely do not get rid of this, because then you could turn around and make this into, you know, a counter for a, you know, diorama with a shop in it or whatever. So anyways, all that aside, we have this porch spacers. So we're going to do setting this up. It is kind of the way you're not going to expect it, because you're going to think, oh, it's going to go like this. It doesn't. All of your clapboard stuff, of course, is going to be facing down, so make sure you've got it in the right direction, right? And then these are going to go, it's going to go to the inside, this part like this, because this is forming sort of that inset entryway area, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to move this out of the way, and you're going to get your porch spacers here. So I'll take their little tags off of them for now. I will put the tags back on them so that I don't freak out when I'm building the dollhouse and go, why do I have these? Okay, and so we are going to take these and we are going to tape these to this. We're not gluing these, we're just taping them. So what we need is to make the box so that we can attach the pieces to know that they're going to be square and level and all that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have each of the inset walls here, and the spacer is going to go here on the inside of it, okay, like so, and then your other wall here. So here's your chance again. Make sure you've got these going in the right direction, all that good stuff. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use some painter's tape, and we are just gonna tape these nice and secure and square to this. I'm gonna do it probably in a couple spots. Like this, and go all the way around it. And then we will eventually be gluing this other piece on top. But this gives us, you know, again, spacers to make sure we're keeping our spacing right, because, you know, of course, this is put together, this dollhouse, slightly different than the Allison Jr. in that there's more small pieces. And it's important to get everything else lined up, or when you get to all those small pieces, they're not going to line up and your house is going to be wonky. In which case you can pretend then that it's the Winchester Mystery House or something up in San Jose, California. That would totally work. All right, do this side here. Woo. these over here. So I also this morning went and I stirred up the shingles. So the first couple days you're going to want to do it fairly frequently, and then, you know, after that you can kind of stir them up about once a day to make sure they're drying good, and that nobody's sticking to each other, because when you first put them in there, they're in a bunch of clumps. But as, of course, they dry, they start letting go of their friends, so you just want to help that process along. All right, this nice and square, level at the bottom. All right, so we have this here. Okay, so our clapboard stuff we need to make sure is facing down. So I'm going to do it from my view here. So it's down and it's on the inside. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, make sure it's facing the same direction. We're going to glue this here, and we're going to make sure everything is very square. You know, we will tape the living heck out of it. But we're only going to be putting glue on this side and this side. Again, you don't want to glue your spacer. For starters, you got another one of these to do, right? Because there's two of them. So where's my glue? Here's my glue. Same way I always do. And I'm going to run this bead of glue down here, she says, while the glue is being obstinate. All right, that's lovely. See what's stuck in there. Where did my chopstick go? Give me a second. All right, let's see what's blocking that. And then we'll put that to the side. Wood glue is very temperamental about leaving it open for any length of time, so I really try to remember to close the top of it as soon as possible. Really? There we go. So you know what's going to happen is it's going to come out in this big huge blob all at once, because yeah, that'd be a first. Not okay. So this one you do want to do plenty of glue, because you're gluing a flat surface to that clapboard surface, so you're going to want it to be able to get into those ridges and stuff too. And I just put my arm in that. All right, so I'm gonna get this spread out real nice. Nice thick layer of it. I'll put some more on that top part once I see how much I need for this one. Get it to all of the sides and corners. Put a little bit more on here. Same with this, a little bit more. There we go. Nice thick layer. Much better. Okay, so now that we got that, I had a paper towel. There it is. Okay, so if you get any on here on accident, just go ahead and wipe it off. Some of it will squish onto it. You can't really avoid it, but you just want to try to avoid getting too much. Okay, so our stuff's going in the same direction. It's going in the correct direction. We're going to sit this on top of here. We're going to square it up real good. Oop. Okay, press it down, wipe off any glue that we see just at first, because as we maneuver this and pull it down with the tape, it's gonna do that even more. So turn this around, and I'm gonna start on this side here. Tape it down. I don't think I need that anymore either. Okay, I've got it here because I want to pull this piece down to this piece, so I'm going to start with my tape on this piece, get it lined up. The crucial thing is having it lined up with the top edge of this. We're going to bring it down, add some tension to it, and get that in place. And then we'll do the same at the bottom, and then we can mess about with the middle part. Okay, and pulling it down. And then at each step, just kind of go along and wipe any glue that's squished out. You're not going to get as much squishing out with this, again, because it is filling in those cracks in the slats. All right, this. Now I'm gonna turn this around. It's gonna slide every which way for a minute. And now we're gonna get this one on here and make sure it is nice and straight and square. And do the same thing. So at the top here, this, pull this, oops, pull too hard on it, pull that down. And this top part, again, make sure these are very, very even, because even just a tiny bit off and it's going to start giving you headaches. Okay. A little bit of glue. Same here. Down, and then now we can start doing these sides here. These are also important to make sure everything is staying level and square on here. And then we will, I don't have that much tape because seriously, I have an issue with putting way too much tape on there. All right. Same thing here, make sure we are straight. And again, we've just taped down the spacers, so you know, they may slide off a tiny bit. It's not as important. The important thing is having them there to provide that space for you. All right, one more, and the last one. Okay, so got our tape. We're holding this down real good. And we're going to very gently take this, we're going to flip this over here because we want to make sure to get any extra glue out and off of our walls that we can before we let this dry. All right, if you have a little bit stuck in a corner, grab yourself a toothpick because they're real good at getting into these little edges, getting this extra bits out. With that little bit in the corner, we really want to get the extra off of there because we don't want to glue our spacer to it. I mean, it won't be on there for long, but all right. All these little extra bits here. We are good. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this set up really good. And then once it's set up, I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to take the spacers out. I'm going to do the other one. And then I will join you back here after that because our next step is we're going to go out to the living room and we're going to do some stuff with the base because we'll be tracing some stuff on here and doing some things with the floors, but we're also going to be doing our base here. So actually we don't need that for the, oh good, okay. So while this dries, let's go out there and mess with the base then. See you out there in a second. All right, so now we've come to the part where we are going to do some of the building of the foundation of the house, right? So for this one here, it's our next step. You are going to need, of course, your base. You're going to need your back foundation, which is this piece that has little grooves in it. Okay, you've got a front foundation piece. This is longer and it's got these bevels here. You've got your mid foundation and your side foundations. These, of course, you find by measuring to see which one is which. You also have foundation spacers and then corner foundations, okay? These also have a bevel. These are gonna fit along with this front foundation on this front part here, and they're gonna bevel in this way, okay? That takes some special stuff we'll get to here in a minute. But okay, so let's get this stuff kind of up and out of the way a little bit. Let's see. Figure out where I'm going to put everything while I do this. All right, let's put it, we're going to put the back on first anyway. So we got mids, we got sides, we got those, and we got the front business here. Okay, so back foundation here. So it is going to fit right along here, okay? And so it's a little harder to tape of course, because we're going to be going under. So we're going to do like we did the last time, I think. We're going to do some tape ahead of time. So just take some strips of tape and we'll have them ready to go for us on here. So with this kind of stuff, you always want to get the corners. We'll also be going around the corners once we put the bottom one on, so no worries there. And then once we're done, you know, gluing everything and we turn it over, then we can tighten down the top. So we'll start with 4. Again, we can always add more to it if we want to. All right, so there's those. So with this, there's no really right or wrong way to it. It looks the same either way. So we're going to get glue on here. I'm going to place this down to the tape. I'm going to go in and out fast forward because the other half is spray painting in the other room. So that way we miss that. Going to do the side foundations. So they're going to go here, they're going to fit into these grooves here and make sure they're nice and even along here, and then watch the corners. That's why I had that kind of undo it, because I was over just a tiny bit. We're going to put one here and put one here. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to get my tape set up and all that. And then the first one I do is going to be around this corner, just to make sure this is nice and tight with that. Okay? Go on fast forward for that. part I did forget to tell you was we have to put it on the end where it's going to meet this piece. So sorry about that. All right, so the next two pieces are going to be the foundation spacers. Take the tags off them. Okay, and these are going to go here. They're going to meet this corner. They're going to be aligned with the front. And they're going to go right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue these down. We're going to tape it around this way here. We're not going to tape the rest of it yet because we're going to put these middle pieces in, so that way if we need to adjust to make sure it's square with those, we can. Plus we don't have a heck of a lot of tape too, so there's that. Good place for 1, 2, 3 blocks, which are called that because they're 1 inch by 2 inch by 3 inch, right? So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to push this in the corner, so that way I know this is going to be nice and square, right? It's not completely necessary. You can completely do this without it, but just want to hit my bets on that one. So now we're going to use the mid foundation. Take these off. So mid foundation is going to slat in here, and it's going to come here, and it's going to butt up with this. So again, we need to make sure this is nice and square. That's why I said not to worry too much about taping it down yet, because it's not going to fit right if it's not square. So, and again with this, I can use this anywhere along the length to make sure that that's square. These pieces of tape will hold it long enough that by the time we get to the front foundation, this will be set up and we can take them off. But just know these two pieces won't be staying here. Okay? So I'm going to do the mid foundation, bottom, and the end piece where it's going to slot into that. And then I'll put a little bit on the end of this where it's going to attach to here. So now we've got these parts done and they're good. So the last part that we're going to put on here is going to be our front along with our sides. So I'm just checking to make sure that I've got these pieces far back enough. They're going to line up, and they are. Okay, so what they have you do is they're going to have you take the front piece here, and you have these two corner pieces here. So it's in camera. You're going to line them up straight, and then you're going to go ahead and put tape on them. So you've got them where the bevels are inside, because you're putting the tape on. What that's going to do is it's going to make it one piece that's kind of hanging together, kind of like you do with the roof. Makes it easier to put it down, right? So I'm going to line this up. Put our tape there, and this press it in real good so it stays. Okay, so now when we go to pick it up, we kind of have one big giant piece. And the benefit is it's already taped right here for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of glue in here in these bits. Then we're going to turn it up. We're going to put glue on this edge, on these bevels, and then we're going to attach it to there. But we're going to do the part I almost just forgot, which is I'm going to go ahead and pull these two pieces of tape because I don't want them to be a permanent part of my base. So I've done a couple of them in the front. I'm not going to worry about it too much because we're going to flip this over. So I'll do the bulk of the taping once I've flipped it over. I'm going to move my 1, 2, 3 blocks out of the way. Get this out. Do that. Okay, I'm going to very gently turn this over. So the important part of this is to make sure that your front is lined up, and it's just easier for me to do with it turn this way because you can see there's a bit, I don't know if you can see it or not, I can see there's a bit of a gap. So I'm going to have to push that in and get that taped. There we are. I'll get the stuff off the front. Now, this one, I'm making sure that these corners here are aligned really well. And this one, there is a little bit sticking out. I'm not going to worry too much about that because I can always go across and sand it. It's not a big deal. But what happened is this is probably just a hair off in the back. And it's already set enough where I can't really fix it. So watch for that, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some weights on here. And you can either use, like I'm using, weightlifting weights, or you can use books. Anything heavy. You want to make sure it's pressing down, especially in your corners here. This one in the center, there. I have these two, and I'm going to line these right on this edge, front and back. Okay, so everywhere it's touching, I want to make sure it's held down really good. We're going to leave this for a while. So what we'll do is I'm going to go back and do my other front entryway, let this sit for a bit, and then we will come back and do whatever the heck the next step is. All right, so that was the end of episode 4. And so in the next episode, episode 5, it's the wild world of templates. Speaking of prep work never ends. So we'll be doing wallpaper templates. We'll be doing the base, you know, outlining where the porch is going to be painted, that kind of stuff. So hope to see you then. Bye.